I want to spend a minute walking you through The Last Mile. The Last Mile is a book that talks about the notion of behavioral insights and why it is important for organizations to have a new last mile framework for thinking about value creation and value delivery. I'm sure all of you have taken a trip down the roadways where you go through an expressway, you're zipping along, the car is on cruise control, and everything looks fine, till you get off the expressway and into the city streets. Things change there. Streets become narrower. There is construction. There are drivers trying to make a left turn across the street that might hold you up. In fact, there's a fundamental difference between the highway and the city streets. Highway journeys are typically more efficient as compared to journeys on the city streets. They're also more predictable, and the behavior of any one driver has less of an impact to you on the highway than it does on the city streets. My belief is that value creation systems are pretty much the same as highways and city streets. Think about the first mile of any value creation system. We think about strategy development, product innovation, new product development, testing. And once all of that is done, we take the product to market on what I would call the last mile. This is where things start becoming a little bit more difficult. This is where the rubber meets the road. This is where customers come into your stores, onto your websites, or if you're a government, this is where your citizens interact with you through your forms and websites and phone offices and so on and so forth. The last mile is inherently more challenging because you are now required to create actions that change in response to how your constituents behave. And human behavior is inherently much more difficult to model than operational considerations. In the Last Mile book, we talk about three different aspects of developing last mile solutions. First, we present a broad overview of the behavioral insights framework. What have we learned from behavioral insights? What are its generalizable principles? Second, we talk about the methods of the behavioral scientist. We'll talk about experimental design and field studies, and more importantly, why it is essential that organizations must master these techniques to be able to effectively master the last mile. And finally, we present frameworks of decision-making and behavior change. We talk about 4 different approaches to behavior change: the economic approach, the information approach, the restriction approach, and the choice architecture approach. And we talk about 2 distinct sets of activities that we need to engage in to help our customers and our stakeholders make better choices. The first is an equip strategy. This is where we try and help people make better decisions by giving them choice models or giving them online tools and apps, or simply giving them advice. The second set of strategies is the padding strategy. This is where we make the environment a safer place by perhaps changing defaults, by changing the context so that even if the customer doesn't make the right choice, they haven't really made a very bad choice. Case in point, how do we help consumers protect their online data? You could think about an equip strategy, which is perhaps a privacy literacy program where you can teach people what sorts of information they should and should not share online. Or you could have a padding strategy. Imagine that you require every website to set the default privacy setting to the highest level. This is a situation where even if the customer doesn't go in and change the default settings, they're not losing their valuable data. And so at the last mile, everything really matters. Every element of the context, every element of the consumer's decision process matters, and that makes the last mile inherently hard to model. It is my belief that over the past many years, organizations, be they governments or not-for-profits or even for-profits, have spent way too much time on the first mile and way too little on the last mile. And hopefully, this book will help you and your organization help achieve excellence at the last mile.